On a quiet summer afternoon in 2010, 12-year-old Emma Rodriguez kissed her mother goodbye and hopped on her bright blue bicycle, planning to ride to her friend's house just 3 blocks away. It was supposed to be a simple trip, one she had made countless times before through the familiar suburban streets of Millfield. Her mother, Maria, watched from the kitchen window as Emma pedaled down their driveway, her long dark hair flowing behind her like a banner in the warm breeze. That would be the last time anyone would see Emma alive. When Emma failed to arrive at her friend's house that evening, panic set in immediately. Her friend's mother called Maria around 7 p.m., asking if Emma had changed her mind about coming over. The words hit Maria like a physical blow. Emma had left their house at 3 p.m., and the ride should have taken no more than 10 minutes. Within hours, the entire neighborhood was mobilized in a desperate search effort. Police officers, firefighters, volunteers, and search dogs combed through every street, every alley, every backyard and wooded area within a 5-mile radius of Emma's route. The search continued for weeks, then months. Emma's bicycle was found 3 days after her disappearance, abandoned in a creek about 2 miles from her planned route, but there was no sign of Emma herself. The bike showed no signs of an accident. It appeared to have been deliberately placed there. Security cameras from local businesses were reviewed frame by frame, but the route Emma took had surprisingly few surveillance points. The few cameras that did capture footage showed Emma riding normally, with no signs of distress or anyone following her. Detective Sarah Mitchell, who was assigned to lead the investigation, later described the case as one of the most challenging of her career. Every lead seemed to evaporate into nothing. There were no witnesses to Emma's actual disappearance, no suspicious vehicles reported in the area, and no obvious suspects. The investigation revealed that Emma was a straight-A student, well-liked by her peers and teachers, with no known enemies or troubles at home. She had never shown any inclination to run away, and her family life was stable and loving. As the months turned into years, the case gradually went cold. Maria never stopped believing that Emma would come home, keeping her daughter's room exactly as she had left it. She organized annual vigils and maintained a social media presence dedicated to finding Emma, sharing her story with true crime communities and missing persons advocates across the country. The local police department kept the case open, but with no new leads, active investigation efforts were scaled back. Meanwhile, in a different part of town, an elderly man named Harold Winters lived alone in a deteriorating Victorian house that had been in his family for generations. Harold was known in the neighborhood as something of a recluse, someone who kept to himself and rarely interacted with others. His property was overgrown and unkempt, with tall hedges that blocked most views into his yard. Neighbors occasionally complained about the condition of his property, but Harold always managed to do just enough maintenance to avoid any serious legal issues. Harold died of natural causes in early 2022 at the age of 78. He had no living relatives, and his estate was handled by a court-appointed administrator. The Victorian house, despite its poor condition, was considered potentially valuable due to its historic architecture and large lot size. After months of legal proceedings, the property was purchased by a young couple, Jake and Ashley Morrison, who planned to renovate it completely and turn it into their dream home. The Morrisons were experienced with renovation projects, having successfully flipped 2 smaller homes previously. They knew the Harold Winters house would be their biggest challenge yet, but they were excited about the potential they saw beneath years of neglect. They hired a team of contractors and began the painstaking process of bringing the old house back to life. The project was documented extensively for Ashley's home renovation blog, which had gained a substantial following over the years. The renovation began with basic structural assessments and the removal of decades' worth of accumulated belongings that Harold had left behind. The house was a maze of cluttered rooms filled with old furniture, stacks of newspapers dating back decades, and various collections that Harold had apparently maintained over the years. The basement was particularly challenging, as it had suffered from chronic moisture problems that had created mold issues throughout the lower level. 3 months into the renovation, the crew was working on installing new electrical systems in the basement when they made a discovery that would change everything. While removing an old brick wall that appeared to have been added sometime in the 1970s, one of the workers noticed something unusual behind the brickwork. What initially appeared to be old rags or fabric soon revealed itself to be something far more sinister. Construction worker Miguel Santos was the first to realize what they had found. He immediately stopped work and called Jake Morrison, who was upstairs coordinating with the plumbing team. When Jake saw what Miguel had uncovered, he felt his blood run cold. Without disturbing the scene any further, Jake immediately called the police. Within 30 minutes, the house was swarmed with investigators, forensic specialists, and crime scene technicians. The remains were carefully excavated over the course of several days, with every step documented and analyzed by forensic experts. Along with the skeletal remains, investigators found personal items that would prove crucial to identification: a small silver bracelet with the letter E engraved on it, fragments of clothing that matched the description of what Emma had been wearing on the day she disappeared, and most significantly, dental records that would provide definitive proof of identity. Detective Mitchell, now nearing retirement, was called back to work on the case that had haunted her for over a decade. The DNA analysis confirmed what the dental records had already indicated: the remains belonged to Emma Rodriguez. After 12 long years of uncertainty and false hope, Maria finally had the answer she had both dreaded and desperately needed. The investigation into Harold Winters revealed a disturbing pattern that had gone unnoticed for years. Computer analysis of his internet activity showed searches related to local missing person cases, and a thorough search of his property uncovered additional evidence suggesting that Emma may not have been his only victim. Cold case detectives began reviewing other unsolved disappearances in the area, looking for potential connections to Winters. Further investigation revealed that Winters had worked as a maintenance contractor for the city for over 20 years, a job that gave him legitimate reasons to be driving around residential neighborhoods at all hours. Witnesses who were re-interviewed 12 years later began to remember seeing his distinctive white van in the area around the time of Emma's disappearance. Though no one had thought to mention it to police at the time, the forensic evidence painted a grim picture of Emma's final hours. Based on the location and condition of the remains, investigators concluded that she had been held in the basement for a period of time before her death. The brick wall that concealed her body had been constructed with considerable skill, suggesting that Winters had planned the concealment carefully. Tool marks found on the bricks matched tools discovered in Winters' garage, providing additional evidence of his involvement. For Maria Rodriguez, the discovery brought a complex mixture of emotions. While the confirmation of Emma's death was devastating, finally knowing what had happened to her daughter provided a sense of closure that had been absent for 12 years. She was able to give Emma a proper burial and begin the difficult process of grieving for a loss that had never been fully acknowledged. The case also highlighted important gaps in the original investigation. Modern investigative techniques and technology that weren't available in 2010 might have led to Winters being identified as a suspect much earlier. Advanced cell phone tracking, improved DNA analysis, and more sophisticated data correlation methods could potentially have saved Emma's life if they had been applied more thoroughly at the time. The Morrison family struggled with the knowledge of what had happened in their new home. Despite having no connection to the crimes, they found it impossible to continue living in a place where such tragedy had occurred. They eventually sold the property to the city, which demolished the house and converted the lot into a memorial garden dedicated to Emma's memory and other missing children from the community. The case sparked renewed interest in other cold cases throughout the state, leading to the formation of a specialized task force dedicated to reviewing unsolved disappearances and applying modern investigative techniques to older cases. The Emma Rodriguez case became a textbook example of how crimes can remain hidden for years and the importance of never giving up on missing person investigations. In the years following the discovery, advances in genealogical DNA testing and database searching led to the resolution of several other cold cases that had potential connections to Harold Winters, while he would never face justice for his crimes. Due to his death, the evidence compiled against him provided answers to multiple families who had lived with uncertainty for years. The story of Emma Rodriguez serves as a powerful reminder that missing person cases are never truly cold as long as dedicated investigators and caring communities continue to seek the truth. It also highlights the unexpected ways that justice can emerge, sometimes years or even decades after crimes are committed, through the determination of ordinary people who refuse to let victims be forgotten.